Welcome to I Just Watched. I'm Joseph. We're talking episode 3 of The Last of Us on HBO. This one definitely did some drastic changes, especially compared to the first two, where the first two was just hitting beats. I forgot to mention, in the previous videos, like the beginning of the first one, you have, I know him as Jonathan, giving us that explanation of climate change, how things adapt, how, basically your whole Darwin theory, and they could adapt and we have no way of defeating it. And then you see the implementation of that when later on they're like, they asked that doctor, like, what do we do? Like, we need a cure, we need a vaccine, we need to figure this out. She's like, yeah, you just gotta blow everything up. Can I go home and be with my family? Because that's the only thing. But jumping to the third one, Bill and Frank. I mean, I remember I liked Bill in the video game. It's funny because the backstory between him and Frank isn't necessarily a complete switch or change from the game. It's something we never really got. But the change itself being that, we don't get the interaction between Joel, Ellie, and Bill, and how he tries to help him and stuff like that. I mean, he still helps him, and we just see previous interactions. I liked it because I was getting emotionally attached to these characters. Bill and Frank, I was like, damn, like the way they showed you how they developed, how they grew, how they became a team, how they became loved ones, and how they loved each other. And you see the changes between the two and the dynamic. And I was like getting attached to these stupid fucking characters. And I knew in my heart, I was like, man, I'm not completely against the change because we're still able to contain that change and bring us back to a point where we're still pushing forward in an extremely similar fashion to the game itself. But this is one of those things where you got to be careful, because if they do it too much or they start getting too crazy with it, that's when everything goes to shit basically, and it can really ruin what they've been building. Like I said, episode 1 and 2 are hitting beats. Even 3 hit some beats, not as much, because they did include the meat of this episode was giving us this backstory, giving us this connection to these characters, which I enjoy. But I say that just with a little bit of like worriness, because if they do that too much throughout the season and throughout the story of the first game, it can really switch things up, and then that's gonna ruin the show basically. But as of right now, I kind of liked it. I liked what they did with it. Hopefully, it's not something super reoccurring. It's not the first sign of they're gonna just drastically do what they want and change everything. I mean, it makes sense for a dramatic show, for this drama. It was wonderful. The story, it had its ups, its downs. It had this classic, tragic, semi-beautiful ending at the end of the episode. Joel's in his attire. Ellie's in her attire. She finally has her gun. They're pushing forward in the sense where, like, cool. Like, now the journey really starts. They keep going down the road. I think they can knock it out, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I want to hear your thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. How are you enjoying the show so far? I'm digging it. I like the music choices. I like just the beats they're hitting. Like I said, I mean, for example, the whole arcade game. Here they use Mortal Kombat. Obviously, it's owned by Warner Bros., so they didn't have to make up a game like they did in the actual game. I'm intrigued to see how they play the road off, because the journey itself is going to be the scariest part, so to speak. You got to be able to show us the fights with the Raiders, the dealing with the infected, the clickers, and just the variety of monsters that we have, and really give us that team dynamic as we get to that point. I think I'm loving the show so far. A couple more episodes and I'll be able to be like, yep, I love it 100%. Probably one of the best ones of the year. Or a couple more episodes and I'm going to be like, oof, they fucked up. They started out beautifully and then they took it down the completely wrong road. But lastly, I want to hear your thoughts again. Comments, questions, concerns. I love hearing from you. But until next time, stay safe, be well, y con mucho amor. Adios.